All right, let's get it started. It is one-on-one. Here's today. Leadership 25, Law of Connection, Chapter 10, John Maxwell's 21 Laws of Leadership. For those of you that are newer on the team, we just want you to know this is a very exciting time for us, to be able to impart to you in the area of leadership, because we, in 1999, after 2 years in the direct sales industry, John Maxwell came to our convention, and we had a private leadership meeting before the convention started, and we were invited to be part of that private leadership meeting because we were two of the top distributors. It was a small room, and he called it the "you were in the room" training. He goes, "Today you'll never forget this because you were in the room," and we didn't forget, did we?
No.
And he was his new book, The 21 Laws of Leadership, had just come out, and he was teaching and training on that throughout, the United States. And we had a luncheon with him after that, and then he trained at our convention as well. And then after the convention was over, our founder, our company owner, launched, along with John Maxwell, a 21-week series for the company called the 21 Laws of Leadership cassette series. And they did a conference call every week, and then recorded it on cassette and mailed it out to every distributor. And that skyrocketed our business, because it skyrocketed everybody on our team. It skyrocketed their personal growth and their leadership development. We had people getting promotions at their jobs. We had people getting major promotions. So it wasn't just about people making more money. People grew. They grew as husbands and wives. They grew as leaders in their churches. They grew leaders in their companies. And they also grew as leaders in our business. And so Diane and I are just kind of revamping that here in 2025. And we've got Leadership 25 going on, because we know that what happens with we know the outcome of developing a leadership culture. There's a difference between just being at a direct sales company and being part of a leadership culture. You don't want to just be in a network marketing company. There is the good and the bad and the ugly. I've heard stories, we've even seen some of it, when people don't have leadership skills and they don't have there's no leadership mindset anywhere in their repertoire or their group's repertoire. We saw that with another company that we were in briefly for 2 years, and it was painstaking, because those people, just their word choices, the gossip, the backbiting. You can't grow a volunteer army like that. You just can't. It's just a big cluster, and it's a mess. And then when you go have meetings and conventions, they're all at the bar getting drunk, and they're getting hammered, and you don't know what's happening. And so here's the thing. We're very intentional about building a leadership culture.
Can't make you get in my ears.
And we know that if we can help you develop as a leader, then every facet of your life is going to change, because that's what we want for you. We're not doing this Zoom so we just can all make more money. That's a byproduct of all the other things. It's a byproduct of you being on these Zooms and becoming a better husband, a better wife, better in your marriage, better at your profession, better in your household, better everything you do in relating to people, so that you can just become better in every single lane or facet of your life. And then money is a byproduct of us becoming better and growing.
Yeah. And again, for those of you that are seeing this for the first time or just getting on, we do have a school dedicated to Leadership 25, or I should say a classroom in school dedicated to Leadership 25. And so you can go back and watch all the ones we've done prior to this. And of course, if you ever miss it, or maybe teammates miss it, you can always catch the recording, because everything's housed there. But we feel like we're getting great response from all of you that have come along for the journey, and we're excited about, what we're going to continue to see unfold.
So today's the law of connection. And this is an easy one, but I told Diane this morning after our prayer time, when we were talking about this, I said, honey, here's the thing. When I think of all of our top leaders, all the big checks, every one of them, this is out of all the 21 laws, this is the one they all do well. So 100% of them, they understand connection. And because why do we know that? Because we see them in person. We see them interacting with people. We see them on incentive trips interacting with people, whether it's other brand partners or prospects, people that they just wind up meeting. Sometimes that they're not even trying to prospect. They're just like meeting people on vacation. They're just connecting with people at the pool, connecting with people, on the ship, or connecting with people out and about, and just being nice and being cordial and getting to know people, and things transpire from that. And if you don't have the pressure of thinking everybody needs to get in my business, you'll be amazed at just how the law of connection will cause people to want to be in your business, and because it'll bring the law of magnetism in as well.
Yeah, and it's not always about who's in your group, because remember, we represent each other. So there's times when we see our leaders intermingling and really connecting with people that aren't in their organization, but yet they still genuinely love people and they genuinely love what we're building here. And so they're representing leadership in that area. So it's really, really cool to see how they do. They express it so well.
Okay, Di, why don't you take off?
Okay, so just some visuals to put in front of you. We'll process through it. A lot of it, some of it's in the book, and then some of it is really, remember, bringing it into how it relates to us in our business, because obviously we know a lot of you are on here because you're wanting to grow your business. So let's make it practical when you take the law of connection and you make it yours. So, the law of connection, as you already read, leaders touch a heart before they ask for a hand. That's John Maxwell. That's the way he started. And people buy into the leader before they buy into the vision. So, that is really the key. We share the vision, we express the vision, but it goes back to people buy us. That's why we're not salesmen, because people buy us before they buy our product, right? So just keeping that in mind, that it's so important that we do a great job in that area, just really being a great leader, and taking all these other things that we're learning and making them practical in who we are. And of course, then there comes the vision automatically. Real influence begins with emotional connection, not what's that?
Not just strategy.
Yeah, and yeah. We've got our faces in front of it, not just logic, strategy, and incentives. So that's something to keep in mind. This is something that's emotional. That's why Danny and we're so big on making sure that if we're wanting to connect with somebody, then it's not just through a text. That we want to be on the phone with them, right? That we want to make sure that they hear our emotion. And we've stressed that a lot. That's why we do 3-way phone calls. That's why we do, the live presentations, all of those things, because there's an emotional connection as a result of people hearing your passion, your excitement. So it's not just here's information.
So I'll give you an example just from the past two nights. 2 nights ago, I was on a launch Zoom for 2 of our friends. And in that launch Zoom, we didn't use any slides for 30 minutes. You know what it was? It was vision. It was emotion. It was stories. It was passion. I mean, the only visual we used was we used the X39 sleeve. I'd hold that up. But other than that, it was just the emotional connection of and they could feel it, because I would step up in there and talk like this, or back up, and they knew that we meant business. We meant you've got your hands on something that is so life-changing, it's going to blow your mind. When you really figure all this out, and all the facts are good, and I go, all the slides are good. I can take you through a slideshow, but that's you're not going to capture the essence of what we're really talking about tonight until you get this. And that was the 30 minutes. That was our launch. So your launch doesn't always have to be robotic. It doesn't have to be, we got this system and we got these slides and you got to go through these slides and this is what gets them in and blah, blah, blah. Last night, I'm on a Zoom last night with one of our brand partners, and she had me on a Zoom with a guy that she deemed as a very high level prospect who makes a large 6-figure income and is successful and was very interested, wanted to see comp plan, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. We get on the Zoom, no slides. I connect with him, and, and he was Hispanic, and I asked him about his family and his heritage and stuff like that. And so, mom was from Panama, and so he had Mexican and Panamanian backgrounds and stuff. So then I start talking to him in Spanish, and then we connect, and So I'm just building a bridge and talking to him, and then asking him questions and hearing about his life, and he's telling me what he's been through and what is, from military to injuries and all the stuff for his body. And then it came down to like, what I really want to know is how much this patch can affect me and change my life. And so there were no slides, none. And all I did was hold up the sleeve and started. And I told him how I was going to change his life. And I told him stories. And I actually did pull up I did share my screen and pulled up school and clicked on a story. One of my favorites, Josh Wilcoxon. Josh Wilcoxon needs to make millions in this business. And Josh, we need to get you ramped up, brother, because you got the $1 million story. And I played Josh Wilcoxon's story for him. And I go, this is your life right here. And that was about it. So we were actually on a Zoom for an hour and a half, maybe a little bit shy of that, an hour and a half. And I didn't even get back on the internet and show him like how to get enrolled until like the last 10 minutes or so. And so what was it all about? It was about the law of connection.
Yes, which I told Danny said, remind me, what the law is we were going over this morning, like what we were going to focus on. All I was like, it's your superpower. It's the law of connection, because to me, nobody does it better than him. He is so good at this reality, finding a way to connect, and he will intentionally ask several questions because he's going to find a way where there's a connection. It could be where they live, where they went to school, what their kids did. He wants to be that connection makes them feel relatable, right?
Makes them talk. It gets them
yes,
talking.
Exactly. And then so getting them talk starts to break the ice to where they feel comfortable. And so it just starts to unfold a lot, because he's not just get to the point kind of guy, right? And of course, he's also continuing to use the guy's name, and we'll continue to touch on this, but if anybody that just steps back and watches Danny in conversation, y'all will see this work done to a masterpiece. He's really incredible.
And I thanks for that. She's my wife, so she's saying that, but I
hear it from several people.
But I sit here and look at Rick Robertson, and that guy's the master connector. He could, when we go on vacations, I say I can't hang around Rick, one of my best friends. I can't even hang around him because I'm not going to get any recruits. Rick's going to get them all. Well, the good news, he's underneath me, so we do. But it's all of our top leaders like that. When it comes to law of connection, Brittany Francis, we've been watching Brittany Francis for a year and a half, and that woman, she connects with people so quickly because she's prayerful about the connection, but that she's mindful of people's thoughts and their feelings and who they are. And I've never met another human being so incredibly positive about every single person she meets, because you can be a positive person, but this gal is like ultra positive, because we got another one of those calls this morning from her, and she calls, and I'm hearing her in the background in the kitchen talking to Diane. I found a whale. She is amazing. She's this and she's that and she's this. This is every single person Brittany connects to. So if you know Brittany Francis, if you don't have a genuine love for her, you don't have a pulse, because she's behind your back. She's telling everybody how great you are. She's telling everybody how stupendous you are. And I know how she connects with people. So the law of connection is the superpower for really for everything else in this. It's probably why it's in the middle of this book, is because everything else, the law of magnetism and the law, all these other laws really kind of pull toward the ability for someone who masters the law of connection.
Yes. And in Strength Finders, we would call it winning others over, which is another great strength to have. So, okay. So what do people need to know? Remember in the book, he talked about these three topics, what people need to know. Well, that you believe in them, right? So that's so key that you're taking time to encourage and empower, and you just speak life into people. So speak words of affirmation and belief consistently. And, we hope that you see us model that, and we hope that you're doing the same thing. It goes back to do what you see success doing. So, you know, this is so important because it's the reminder that most people don't have somebody speaking life into them on a regular basis. It's literally like watering the flower and continuing, or the plant, continuing to see it grow and become more and more beautiful. So just continuing to remember that. Show personal interest, learn their goals, strengthen dreams, like taking time to understand what they want, what are their goals are. Like personal interest is really important, like knowing, again, Danny does such a great job with names, knowing names, remembering their names. Danny will also go to, like, if we're going to go visit somebody, he wants to make sure he knows all of their kids' names and ages. So he's looking them up on Facebook because he wants to, again, be relatable. And if he's met their kids, then he wants to make sure that he remembers their kids' names. So these are just things that are always really, they set well with people when you are that intentional about conversations.
Like, don't say, guys, as a leader, don't say I'm horrible at names.
Don't say that.
Don't say I can't remember people's names well. Don't tell people that. Don't say I'm sorry, I'm horrible with names. Guys, stop that. Take that out of your vocabulary. I don't remember every single person's name, just like all you guys. I can go to the convention and I'm going to ask you again sometimes, some of y'all, tell me your name again. And you're going to be thinking, didn't you write a book about that, Danny? Like, you're supposed to remember my name. And I'm going to go, yes, I did write a book about that. But I'm trying hard always to remember everybody's name. But I'm not afraid to ask again. But I'm not going to look you in the eye and say, I'm sorry, forgive me, I'm so horrible with names. Because you are. If you say it, you are. That's the seed you're sowing, and that's the harvest you're going to get. So you have to tell yourself you're great at remembering names. And then this little book right here, I mean, guys, it's like $9.99, I think I put on Amazon. And it's worth way more than that. I have to sell it because it's the only way you're going to get it. And so if you don't have it, it's a great book. The cover's ugly because I did it. And I created it myself to spit it out and get it out. But the content is really, really helpful. And it's going to help you connect with people because names are everything. Like in the law of connection, introduction is everything. It's the old Texas way. And, a lot of people sometimes like kind of roll their eyes when you start talking about Texas and everything's bigger in Texas, or, Texas, we are the Republic of Texas, or we're the nation of our own and things like that. Just forget about all that. But if there's one thing about Texas that's true for the most part, is Texans are very cordial. And Texas people were raised to have good manners. You're raised to look people in the eye. You're raised to shake people's hand and hold their hand and say your first and last name. You're raised to smile and say your first last name. And you're raised to say yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, and no ma'am. And you're raised to, these are important in connecting with people. And you're raised to call people Mr. McDaniel. Not some 8-year-old kid running up to me and say, hey, Danny. I'm like, I just want to slap them, but it's really not their fault. It's their parents' fault because their parents don't raise them to respect elders or to call someone, coach or doctor or Mr. or Mrs. or whatever, even if it's Mr. Danny instead of, hey, Danny. You don't need a 9-year-old coming up and calling you by the first name. That's not teaching people how to go through life and connect properly. And so these are important aspects of leadership.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Di.
Okay. So, the next one is, and just a little highlight there. Your listening skills have to be greater than your talking skills. I mean, we're going to continue to remind you that you've got to be a great listener. Those of you that talk way more than you listen are definitely having a difficult time in business, because there is no doubt that you can win.
Well, let me say this about a talker. Like, talkers can recruit well, and they can recruit and they can go wide quick, but then they can't get any depth because the second level and third level people that are being recruited by the people that the talker didn't recruit are going, I can't deal with this. Like, she never shuts up. She just goes on and on and on and on and on, and she never stops talking.
It's not always a woman.
It's he or she. I was going to go to he too, but you called me out. But I noticed I said she, but it's also he or she or he or she, she, but really a man or a woman. Okay.
Exactly. So, Okay, what people need to see. Okay, so that we're going to be a great example, right? You know, it's not do as I say, it's do as I do, right? So lead from the front, use the product, hit your own targets, and model consistency. So this is really important that they see that if you are saying that you're going to lead, that you're doing the necessary things that leaders would do. So they can see you as an example of all the things that, you know, we're trying to get modeled, right? Demonstrate the work ethic and values you want to see in them. So, you know, everybody's always looking for themselves. Well, I got a whole bunch of people, but, you know, nobody's doing anything. Okay. Well, so we always have to focus on what we're doing. A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. John Maxwell. You've already heard that and seen that one. Anything you want to add?
No, but I think we're to an important part here as we're getting toward the end for today before we open up for discussion, and that's people need to feel that you value them. And, you know, this is a big one. I'll just read through these. You want to recognize effort publicly, celebrate wins, and listen deeply. Make them feel seen, heard, and appreciated. And you know, one of the most notorious quotes that John Maxwell's ever had is that one. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Well, let's talk about value for a second. Value is so important because as leaders, especially in direct sales, you already know this, and we preach it all the time. You don't own anybody. You lead volunteers. So we don't own you. We're not your boss. We can't tell you what to do. We can't even presume that we can tell you what to do because that's not our role. Our role is to lead you and love you and serve you. And so when it comes to you leading and adding value to people, I just want you to think about how you view everybody on social media. When you scroll through Instagram and scroll through Facebook, or you see friends in public or at church or whatever, do you see them as a commodity? Do you see them as a prospect? I'm not saying it's inherently wrong to see them as a prospect, but it is inherently wrong to see them as a commodity because people aren't commodities. And so the thing is we have to get to where we value people so much that it doesn't matter what their choices are in life. If they don't want to go with you on this journey, great. If they don't, you still love them and you still value them. And you just trust God that God's got them and he's got a plan for them. And if it's not running in the same lane as you, it's still his plan, but they're still your friend and you're still going to love them. Now, that doesn't mean for sometimes it's seasons of life. You may not spend as much relational time with them as you once did, but it doesn't mean that you're like, okay, I'm not going to ever call you again and we're done and you don't want to go my direction. This whole law of connection is about being able to see value in others in their areas of life as well, not just in LifeWave. And so you want to value them as parents and value them as professionals in what they do. Value them in those areas that aren't connected to the dollar sign. And at the same time, never see people as a commodity. You will become a greater connector if you don't ever see people as dollar signs. It's not about what we can get from somebody. It's about how we can change their life. I'm going to read you one thing from this morning, and I had no intentions of this being on the Zoom today. So this is not why I did it. And just know, this is not it. I fear the Lord, so I'm not lying to you. But I reached out to someone this morning and encouraged him with a little Instagram reel, said, stay strong. And he responded, and I'm not going to tell you his response. And other than, the weight of the world, I will say this, the weight of the world just feels like, it's a lot right now and stuff like that, but I'm staying positive moving forward. And here's what I said to him. Here's a leadership tip. I said, you don't have to perform for me, so you owe me nothing, but I'm going to help you get out of this rut you're in. You're doing a tremendous job raising champions. So don't forget about the champion that is still in you and how you were raised. You just got slimed with a whole lot of stuff over the past few years and you got to break it off. Okay. And so I sent him something, said, when you're driving, listen to this. And then I said, you're also going to take your kids to a whole new level in the next 2 years. And you've already done a great job with them, but you ain't seen nothing yet. they're going to be unstoppable when you are able to transfer a lot of the new stuff you're learning. This is way bigger than LifeWave. See, I'm making him understand. And he said, yes, sir. And responded, and all that. And what I'm doing is making him understand this is not just about LifeWave. We're connected because I'm going to help you in every facet of life. And then I said, after he responded to me with a long text, I said, what does a packet of cucumber seeds produce when planted? And he said, cucumbers. And I go, great. Whatever field of harvest you want, plant those seeds and don't deviate. He said, yes, sir. 1 year from now, you're going to reap a harvest of whatever you've been sowing. Your thoughts are the seeds. Your words are the irrigation system that waters the field. I'm here to pull the weeds and kill the bugs. You just keep planting the right seeds and water them. Don't put poison on your crop. That poison can come from 1, your own mind, 2, your words, 3, people. And then he said, yes, sir. And he gave me a response. This is like the law of connection in action. And so it's just making sure you love people, never see them as a commodity, and watch and see what God will do to honor that and bring people your direction.
Yeah. So great.
And really, when I said our top leaders, Daniel Plan is a pro at this. Daniel Plan is a major connector, loves people. He just gets in their life. He's not trying to recruit everybody. He just loves people and tries and asks them questions and says great. And then he's always looking for where he can compliment them and tell them great things about themselves after he's gotten to know them. Mark Delgado's a pro at this. Dr. Tory Brooks, is a pro at this. We've watched him in action and so it's them and their spouses too. They're just, all our high level leaders are great at the law of connection.
Yeah, so good. And just, again, it's so important that we really take time to see how we can get better at this. We already have heard this. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So it's just being super intentional there. And then, this is about choosing to become better. Why? Taking some snapshots of yourself. Who do I connect with this week? Who do you need to connect with this week? Have I expressed belief into my team? Am I doing that? Am I fueling belief? Am I modeling the behavior I want to see? Does my team feel valued by me? These are some of the questions. You can continue with any of the other questions that you need to reflect on. But it's the reality that, that leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. And that begins with self-reflection. So we want to self-reflect and see how we can do better here. And then your call to action is lead from the heart, just like Danny talked about. Connect intentionally with 3 people this week. Take time to plan a phone call, take time to not just reach out and say, hey, how are things going on the business, but like plan the phone call. Make sure it happens, make sure that you check on them, not just what's going on in your business. Like, be intentional about people. Like, I like to keep a little notebook, a way that you can keep track of, conversations. A notebook. I have a big gray notebook that always tracks all my conversations. So I can always look back on the conversations we've had in the past, or before I have a conversation, I'll look at any text that we may have had, because there's a lot of things that are said that I may just want to follow up with, like maybe their kid got hurt, or maybe, there was something tragic that happened in their family, and just checking on them outside of just business. Right. And so sometimes we need our own prompting. So finding a way to keep up with that.
And that's what Carrie Robertson does so well too. And Diane does a phenomenal job with that, because guys, we want you to still see 2 years down the road. You always got to be thinking, what's my life going to look like 2 years from now? Because you don't know, as a seed planter and as a sower and as a connector, what God's going to bring back to you in proper time and season. Because here we are 2 years and 1 month into the business of working this business. And, because of seeds that Diane's been sowing into the lives that we have a couple of friends that are really major leaders and are multipliers. And because of Diane's continue to love and to sow and just care for their family, for them and their kids, they've reemerged as, okay, we got to do this thing. We got to get it done. And then, we're on a Zoom with the wife yesterday, and Diane's on a Zoom with her for an hour. Okay. So it's a reimmersion. What's it come from? Connection of loving them, regardless if they ever do LifeWave or not. And that's the same thing with 2 of our very best friends, Dusty and Ann Hammock, who have reemerged. They 2 years ago when we started LifeWave, in the first 30 days, after 30 days in LifeWave, I wound up in Guatemala at Spanish school for another month of Spanish school. And I'm living with Dusty and Ann Hammock down there, who are two of our very best friends. And because they're on the mission field, and and so I'm all excited about LifeWave. 30 days in, can you imagine the flames I'm throwing? I mean, I'm pouring it on them, and they got on the patch and signed up, but they weren't interested in the business. 2 years later, exactly 2 years later, they're like, God told us it's time for us to do LifeWave. Okay. Well, in those last 2 years, we haven't done anything but love them. They were on vacation with us for 4 days in Florida a few months ago. We didn't care whether they ever did LifeWave or not. We just love each other. Okay. So, but you just keep valuing people for where they're at. And we have another major leader that signed up with us 2 years and 1 month ago. And he has reemerged lately. He's always been there, but just kind of in the background because he's got a real busy schedule. I don't want to get into his whole story. I don't want to give it away, but he's reemerged. Well, I'm consistently reaching out to him and telling him how we feel about things and how we feel about them and stuff like that. And whether they ever did it on a high level or not, I still love those guys because it's a spiritual connection and it's a family connection and it's a mentorship connection. So just know that your ability to connect with people, it's not all going to happen in 1 week. It's going to be seeds that will come to harvest over time if you keep living by this law and adding value to people.
Yeah. And the last thing that I would add is just, pay attention to it. When you're connecting with somebody, it's not time to like give your strong opinions, right? You're listening, you're getting to know someone. Like, I'll give you an example. I was at a meeting maybe a month ago. Anyways, somebody started talking about, Americans. We were out of the country and they started talking about Americans, and, they started giving political, insights. And I just smiled and listened. I mean, it wasn't time for me to, have my strong, opinion versus his strong opinion. I just listened, right? And that's the way that we have to be, where we're connecting. Because if we start stiff arming somebody out because we're so strong in our opinion, and he wasn't offending me by any means, it was just he had a different opinion than I did, which it is what it is, right? That's the world is like that. There's many of us on here that have different opinions on all kinds of different things, but it doesn't mean that we can't work together well, because it goes back to, we can become relatable in so many other areas that, we don't stiff arm people out of our life because they don't think exactly what we think. And just again, through relationship and through connection, then you never know what starts to happen as things start to shift.
Okay, guys. So that's the law of connection. It's always about your heart and connecting with people. And you guys are going to do a fantastic job with that. So right now, let's open it up, for you're welcome to raise your hand, any comments or questions
About this
topic. We're going to stay on this topic of the law of connection and the 21 laws of leadership. So we welcome you guys to open up, or any leaders that want to also chime in. Man, please use your camera. We really, if you're going to go in here, we'd love for you to use your camera. Poji, there you go.
There you are. Hello.
Hi. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, great. I love all this, and I do that, and it's awesome to connect with people. That's great. The thing that I go is, so when we're wanting to qualify for Bahamas or something like that, how do we stay close to this? Because then there's that. For me, I know Brittany always says, our urgency is not their emergency, and that's beautiful. I love that. But the question is, how do I not get that? I really want to get this so when I'm winning this trip, and get them engaged to think that they could be on the trip as well. Because then the other thing can be, well, that's okay for you to want to be on the trip, but I don't know if that's what I want to do. So that's what I wanted to ask.
No, I'm trying to think about how to connect this with the law of connection according to the question, because it seems like that's what you're trying to do. Because in reality, I don't see how it isn't part of what you need to do anyways in order to win the trip. So we've got to connect with people so that they buy into us before they buy into, our vision of going on a trip. So just making sure that you're doing your part to, listen, be intentional, be genuine. And as a result, everything falls into place for them to, get on the patches. And if they want to go, they want to go. You can also share that. But the reality is, you want to earn the trip.
And of course, this is another subject. So we're getting off of law of connection. We're going to go back to this after I answer this, but the Bahamas trip is about, there's trainings on that. So, I mean, it's about vision and asking questions. It's about asking people to go on a journey with you. And do you want to go on this journey with me? And so you got to paint the vision of the journey. Just like if we're going to Disneyland and I got 6 tickets, I'm taking 6 people with me, flights, hotels, it's all paid for. Do you want to go? That's my question. Yes or no?
I guess I think what I mean by about the connection thing is because for me, I'm like, yes, I'm connecting with them. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking for me that I want to go to the trip. But when you like, I guess what I'm saying is connection can take time.
Yeah. Connection can take time. So some relationships take time to develop, and sometimes people get in and go very fast. That's the nature of this business. Some people see it right off the bat and they take off, and some people it's going to take 2 months, some people 4 months, some people 8 months, some people 2 years. And so that's just part of the sowing and reaping. So you're just sowing, you keep sowing seeds, and some seeds will sprout quicker than the others.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Chris?
There's a couple of sentences on page 131, and it says, the vision of a leader becomes the aspiration of the people. The impact is incredible. And I'm thinking the last few weeks, I have told my team, because we have a team meeting every Monday night, and it's like, this is my vision, this is where I'm going to go, and who's ready to lock arms with me. And I mean, they have just come up and have raised themselves, and they said, I can do this, I can do this. And not even an hour later, one of them just texted me and said, I just did a premium kit sale. And then we put that out there on the big WhatsApp app, and everybody's celebrating. So I totally get this, that, it's our vision and it's just uplifting others. So yeah, it's all the connections.
It is. That's great. Yes. Terry?
Hi there. Every chapter I read, I'm like, oh, that's my favorite. That's my favorite. But David and I were listening to it last night, and recapping and recapping our trip with you guys this last time. And one of the first things I wanted to say is, Danny, your Bible studies and your authenticity, and this factors into that. Who you are you're a phenomenal leader, but who you are in your character is what shows up. To the point of all the topics that you have been saying, also to the question of a little bit of confusion when you're working towards a goal, an incentive trip goal or whatever. But if you have been authentic and true and sincere in your relationships, when it's time to kind of help move somebody across the line, that will help them, but it will also help you help your goal. You'll know in your heart you're authentic. If you had nothing to do with them, and then all of a sudden you need them and you're going to reach out, that's not going to work. So
Yeah.
if you, yeah, that's just, yep.
Yeah. There's one night left in the contest, and all of a sudden, you're reaching out to 5 people, and they can smell it. You know, they can smell the fishiness on it. Yeah.
The desperation.
Yeah. And thank you for those kind of comments. It's very sweet. It's very true.
Yeah, it
Not,
is.
not about me, but I mean what you're saying.
It is if you are in your heart, like one of the things I have found when I speak to people and and visiting with them about their desires, their dreams, their goals, their visions, to your point of those launch Zooms, is if someone's like, I don't want to appear salesy, have no doubt that's not going to happen. It's the people who never even think about that. But when you're true and authentic and you're learning, and I love Diane's little aspects about keeping notes on people. And that's one of the things we do too in our note section on our phone with our people we're running with. I have the clarity of not only where they are business wise, but what is their why? What's their children's names? All of those things that use technology to help you as you're developing the skill to remember all those things.
Yes.
And yeah, okay, bye-bye. Thanks.
Absolutely.
No, thanks
It's
for
very
that.
true. Because we do that too. We use technology to help us. When I can't remember names, I'm going straight to Facebook, and I'm looking things up because it's better that I go look it up and find out their kids' names than to ask them again for
And
the
their
10th time.
spouse's name, like, putting that in the notes too, or, in that information with her in the contact. So good.
Yeah. But one of the thing about connection too that will help you guys too is be socially aware also. Like if you're sensing that someone may not be, if you're sensing that they may not know your name or remember your name, like just say, hey, hey, Danny McDaniel. I mean, I did that in the airport the other day. Saw a country music star named Cafe Anderson. And he was coming out of the Admirals Club and we were going in and I said, is that Cafe? And he turned and looked at me and go, Cafe, what's up? And I could tell he wasn't pulling up my name. And I go, it's Danny McDaniel. He goes, oh, Danny, man, and so he wasn't embarrassed. He wasn't trying to act like he was trying to remember my name because I already knew he couldn't. So I was helping him out with that. And it didn't bother me at all because, we haven't seen each other in 8 years or so. And he used to know me well. I mean, he used to know me well for other reasons and stuff, but it's been 8 years. He's been all over the nation. He's been doing concerts and TV shows and movies and stuff like that. So there's a lot of names that have been through his brain in the last 8 years besides my name. And so that's what you do to be socially aware that he's not picking up on this. I saw it quickly. Okay. All right. I see nurse with a raised hand. Does that mean? Nurse's phone? Are you trying to?
Yeah, he's trying to talk. There you go. You're unmuted.
Okay, man. I've picked up lots of nuggets from what you just said about connection with people. Many a time, like it could be, in the stores or somewhere else. I just, see people that I talk to. I started talking to them without finding out exactly, the specific points, the areas that I can hit. But I usually, exchange numbers and get their information and then send them videos. More especially my wife, she is good at sending them videos and then making the connections. But that personal interaction is what I love. But now I got it. Okay, now I got it. I know how to connect with people that are, just meet for the first time. And then in addition to this, you mentioned that you enrolled somebody in Panama, right?
No, I
Was
didn't.
that in Panama?
No, I said I met someone last night. His mother was from Panama.
Oh, okay. Hey, we just enrolled a functional nutritionist in Panama. Functional nutritionist in Panama. And
wow.
he's he's Hispanic individual. So as time goes on, please, we're going to get you connected with them and then you can help us to kind of expand the horizon over there.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
He definitely needs to join Spanish the Spanish school,
Spanish school.
Champion Makers Espanol.
Yeah, we already sent them my wife already sent them so many
Good.
Spanish, videos and other information that they might be interested in. But he's fluent in English, though, there. And that's where we are right now. So please, if you don't mind, we're gonna make a connection with you guys. That way you can, move, kind of, reinforce, what we've done so far.
No, that's great. What's your name again?
Joe Okeke.
Yeah, Joe
You remember-
Okeke.
You remember we took pictures when you were here in Atkins?
I remember Joe, but I don't mind asking when I can't remember.
Okay.
You remember taking.
Yes, I remember taking pictures, definitely.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I remember seeing you in Arkansas.
Yeah.
Awesome, Joe. That's great, brother.
Yeah.
Judy?
Thank you.
Thanks. I love this. And yeah, thank you, Diane, for about the conversations, because I have no problem connecting with people. I talk to everybody, and we're buying a house, and so I have like I'm working with like 11 people right now. But my little bit of a struggle is Susan told me it takes 8 times to connect with a person before they're going to make a decision, because it's like, I want to push them to make a decision, but I can't. I have to meet them where they're at. I have to love them where they're at. And I have to continue to build the relationship with where they're at. But so what are your thoughts on that? When you've got somebody in the pipeline, it's like, I don't want to do too much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Or
I mean, I understand
gripping.
what you're saying, but tell me what your question is.
I understand the question.
Okay, well, like say I got the connection. They've been, I sent the Zoom, I send different things. Most of the things I send, they're getting on the recording. I had like a couple downstairs was going to get on the live one. I did a full presentation with Susan. It's like I've done 5 things
Oh,
already.
yeah. So yeah, now it's just a matter of time, just like Danny talked about, like you gotta let people be people, and you never know when they come back around. I mean, we've had people, a year later say, hey, I'm ready. So, you just got, I mean, it doesn't mean that you don't continue to follow up, over time, not nearly as quickly, right? Because you've got to give them space, and you don't want to be, come across as pushy or desperate. But yeah, I mean, you've done everything you need to do, and now it's just the love game.
Yeah, the law of sales is there. People have a different number, but it could be anywhere between, people need 5 to 8 exposures before they make a decision about something. But that doesn't
Right.
mean everybody's going to need 5. Some people need 1 exposure.
Right.
All I needed was a phone call. I got a
Yeah.
phone call and 3 stories, and no Zoom,
Yep,
no
me too.
eyeballs on Zooms,
Yep.
no, this is at info.com, nothing. A friend called me, I sign up.
Right.
Carrie, Diane gets on the phone. We get a link after we sign up. Diane gets on the phone and sends it to Carrie, calls Carrie, you're signing up, get these patches. And so that there's things that violate the 5 to 8 exposure rule.
I want an extra card there.
And
Thank you.
then on top of that, everything now is about seed sowing and watering, because there's no perfect answer for your question. Well, there is a perfect answer. It's different for everybody, because some people, it'll be the 5th exposure, then they're going, 8th exposure, then they're going. Then other people, it's like 2 months later, they're going, 6 months later, then they're going, a year later, 2 years later. We're seeing it 2 years later, and they're saying yes. And so in the meantime is, do we just continue to value them for who they are and what they do, whether they ever get in our business or not, and love them where they are and the way they're going, and drip things to them that are necessary, that are going to help them see what we want them to see, without it ever being a turnoff to them, where they feel like the only reason we're ever connecting with them is to show them another video or tell them about LifeWave again. And it's just not, but it's never about anything else.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
You bet, Judy. Val?
Okay. I was going to tell Poe, just don't forget who's in charge. You're not in charge. Get up every morning and pray to God to lead you to the people, but don't ever look desperate or needy, and don't ever come across as that. And also to Judy, don't look at them as your commodity. You just have to judge everybody as you are talking to them and as you meet them as to what they need to hear. And it's different for everybody. You know, everybody keeps wanting to know the perfect conversation. Well, you know, there's really not a perfect conversation unless it comes from your heart and you connect to that person.
Yep.
So there's no, you know, you can have a list in front of you and you can have check mark boxes, send this, do this, that, but it's all in God's timing, and it's going to get there, or they're going to fall away and you don't need those people. So anyway.
Really good.
It's very true.
Yeah. Thanks for your
Spoken
input.
by a senior presidential director.
Yes.
That's why she's there. Got that wisdom coming. Good, Valerie.
Kevin?
Kevin?
Hey guys, I just want to say this is a great series. I'm learning a lot. I just want to know, are we on a specific chapter or do you just go by topic? Anyway, I'm learning so much. Thank you.
That's really great.
Yeah, this was chapter 10,
Okay,
and chapter 10 was the law of connection.
perfect.
Yeah.
We're probably from here on out, we may, like next week, we may take 2 chapters next week, and
So may take or we will?
probably will. We're going to do 2 chapters together, the next 2, 11 and 12 together.
Thank you
But-
so much.
Yeah.
We'll let y'all know that on school as well.
Thank you. Appreciate
Okay,
it.
Kevin.
Yeah, we're glad you're joining us.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Where do you live, Kevin?
Sorry, I'm muted. I'm in South Carolina, sir.
Awesome. Where at?
It's called Somerville, South Carolina.
Somerville.
Very sweet.
Yeah. Great.
Were you in the military?
Yes, sir. I was a medic in the Army.
Yeah. I can
was-
tell.
I was not overseas, but I learned a lot and I enjoyed serving my country, and there's skills that you take from there and all throughout life. And so I really learned a lot. And I was in Fort Sam Houston, Texas. So I appreciate that area of the country as well.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it showed up obvious in your countenance. So thanks for your service and thanks for
Yes.
what you've done for the country.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm learning from you guys. Iron sharpens iron, and I appreciate you, sir.
It's
Great,
awesome.
Thank
man.
you.
Well, we hope you have a great ride here.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Maggie?
Okay, sorry, wasn't unmuting. I really have enjoyed all of the weeks that we've had so far. And what I took out of this is out of the actual workbook, I really appreciated that it said to spend time connecting with someone on your team, and to talk about interests outside of LifeWave or the business, because you need to make it a goal to learn 3 things about that person. And I feel like that really applies to not only your team, but also when you meet somebody new. And like Diane says, write all that stuff down, because if you remember that the next time you speak to them, that speaks volumes. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for these classes.
You bet.
Oh, that's great. It sounds like you're well on your way. That's great. Really, really good. Carrie?
Hey, hold on. Hold on, I want to say something.
Oh, wait.
Okay, Maggie just touched on something really cool. Okay, back in 1997, when Diane and I we started network marketing, it was a high retail. What we had was weight loss and energy. And we were helping people lose weight, feel great, look better, and have more energy. And so we were working cold market leads, selling products. So we're selling like about an average of $2,438 worth of product every 2 weeks, which by 1997 standards, now use inflation costs, and that's a lot more. So we're selling a lot of product, and everybody that we sold product to, we had this index card box. Actually, these are all our directors and above. And so we got this card, Kate Alvarado. So if we sold Kate product, we're writing all our information down. And then on the back, we're writing, if we learned about her kids, what their names were, what her husband's name was, or things that she said in the conversation, just like Maggie said, we were taking notes. So when we put that card of Kate back in day, like is, today's the 17th. If we're going to follow up with her 7 days from now on the 24th, we put it in the 24 slot of our index box. And on day 24, which would be September 24th, we pull out Kate. And I don't really remember because it was like last week. We've talked to so many people, but I look on the back of, oh yeah, she's the lady who, she just went on a trip to the Bahamas with her husband, and she's got, and so you've got conversation now when you call Kate and follow up with her. So that's great, Maggie, that you said that, because that just caused me to think of this.
What's going on with their body, the reason why they were getting on the patches, the patches they got started with, the response that she had last time versus, what we're going to expect this time. So these are all ways to keep people encouraged, because sometimes people are like, oh my gosh, I feel amazing. And then 2 weeks later, they're like, I'm not feeling anything, they're not doing anything. I'm like, okay, well, let's go back to the conversation we had. And, you're pulling them back to the positives of what they've already seen, and then continuing to remind them of what they will see. Again, just speaking confidence in them that they work for everyone, every time, with enough time.
Yep. Carrie?
Yeah, I really like this topic because I'm new to my neighborhood, so I'm trying to like meet people and like join book clubs and join game nights and all this kind of stuff. But like, I don't want people to see me as, oh, that's that girl that just sells patches or whatever. So it's funny, like we just painted our house and people are walking in our neighborhood and they're noticing, and like we're doing landscaping and stuff, and they're like, oh, we really like that you're taking an interest in your house and all this. And so like that creates things, but like a connection, because like I've noticed if they have a nice area, I'm like, oh, where do you live and stuff, and they'll tell me. And so like I put it in my phone, like right then, like I look up their address and I put it in my phone with their name and their wife or husband's name. But like somebody was walking with their wife this week, and it's people I hadn't met before, and I noticed like she was like holding her stomach and walking slower and all that. And so we just struck up conversation about yard work and stuff. And I said, oh, I see that like you're holding your stomach. And she's like, yeah, I just had a surgery done and I've been in the hospital for like 5 days. So I know, like in the back of my mind, like I'm going to want to reach back out. But since this is like my first meeting with them, I'm like, no, I'm not going to be that crazy patch lady like from the get-go. But it's one of those things, like I just put in there, like if I have a little card like that, then I can be like, hey, okay, had surgery recently, may need these patches, reach out, but then I could also like just take her some cookies or something like that, just to be like, hey, I'm a good neighbor and and all that too. So
point of contact too, another time to connect with her.
Exactly.
Something to her.
Yeah. So I'm trying to grow my business, but like I've somebody who had said no to me a month ago, like reached out to me last week, and they're like, yeah, I want to join, and I want to join your team. And she's like, and I know somebody else who already sells it that's a really good friend of mine in another state, but since you're close to me, like you can help me. And like she's an 84-year-old lady and stuff. So like I didn't want to steal her from her friend, and I made sure, like I was like, are you sure you want to do that, because like you have a relationship already? And she's like, yeah, but you're closer to me and can help me more. So
that's great.
Awesome, Carrie.
Really good.
You got it. You got your handle on this connection thing. That's good.
Doing a great job. Joe?
Hey guys, good to see everyone on here. I think what's been really powerful for us is being vulnerable. I think back to when I was a campus pastor, Danny. My intention from the beginning in campus ministry was not to build another ministry to where everyone just came and ate pizza and drank soda on a Wednesday night and then went and lived like the world. And so I had to be vulnerable with where I was and what God did, through my life, so they can connect and want the same thing. So you're vulnerable, because think about it. If I was a pastor and I walked on there and I never talked about that stuff, like, there's going to be no change. And it's the same thing in business. If you never talk about that stuff, those tough financial times or whatever it is, no one's going to relate to you. And so, this morning we had 121 people on our huddle. It started with Penny, Valerie, Charla, Brian, Tori, our first 5 managers. over a year ago. And this morning we had 121 people. It's like a juggernaut now. It can't be stopped. But see, you gotta build that within your team. The first thing I told Robbie and Rebecca, I said, all right, here's what I'm fixing to do, because as much as Danny loves me, he's not going to build connection. As much as Carrie loves me, they're not going to build connection for my team. I've got to do this for my team. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start a leadership. I'm going to start a Facebook thread. Then I'm going to do this. And so you got to start thinking right now, what are you doing to build connection for your handful of people, knowing that you're casting vision of where it's going, and you're helping the crossline people. You're looking to help your crossline leaders become best friends, because some of my crossline relationships are my best friends. I want to go on vacation with them. I want to go do ministry with them. And so that's what you need to set up. You need to set up to where your crossline leaders. Here's another tip that you can do. When Penny was on fire, and let's say I recruited Dr. Tori, and Penny just made $500 in her first month. I'm going to call Dr. Tori, or I'm going to call Penny when I'm on the phone with Dr. Tori and say, hey, Penny, tell him your story real quick, and give Penny an opportunity to share her story and connect him with Dr. Now my new distributor hears Penny's story, and they're on fire, and they're building cross-line relationships. So, but I think it all goes back to being vulnerable. Like, how vulnerable have you guys been? Being real, being raw, pouring into people. And that's been really powerful for us, guys. And now people see the fruit on where we were to where we're going. It's been awesome. There's so much more I can say. One more thing I want to say. Also, building connection, Danny, you have to make a decision. If you like, for example, Renita, she posts a lot of things that people wouldn't fairly agree with, whether whether it's vaccines or this or that or whatever. But when you do things and you put yourself out there, people connect with you. You gotta, what do you believe in? See, there's a book called Tribes where it said, you're not trying to appeal to everyone and be like everyone. That's how you can build a tribe, which is a group of people connected to a leader, connected to a greater mission. And so I'm not afraid to speak my mind and stand up for what I believe in, not what I'm against, but what I'm for in life. And I'm telling you, that's going to help build your community and build your tribe when you're not afraid to speak your mind and speak your vision and stand for something in life. Like Charlie Kirk stood for something in life. And a lot of people may not have agreed with him, but that he doesn't care about that. It was about his vision, what God called him to do. And you see the tribe, you see how he connected with so many people because he was about what he stood for, what he was for, not what he was against, like Paul. What is he for? So I think when you stop straddling the fence and you stand for something, guys, that's going to help you. Like, we love everyone, but our team, we're about Jesus. We're about restoring the family. We pray every single meeting. We pray. People know what kind of culture it is in our huddle. And that's what's building the connection. That's great, Joe. I love it. You do have to stand for something. So we got to quit straddling the fence and stand, move forward in life. It's not the critic. It's not the critic who counts, but it's the man in the arena. I think Vince Lombardi said that. And, it really is. We got to do something. So, Dr. Tori. Okay. Go ahead and say it, Di.
No. Dr. Tori, can we hear you? Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. We'll take
All right.
and Diana, and then we'll close it up.
All right, Joe, that was awesome, buddy. I think my pen ran out of ink on that one. I'm going to put some things to practice right there. I love it. I'll build your tribe. We were blessed by going to Cancun the last week or two and being around a bunch of just champions. I just love the culture that Danny and Diane and Rick and Carrie have fostered. But most people here today talked about already having a relationship and connecting with your people that you already have relationships with. What I want to talk about is something just, cold calling or just meeting people on the fly, which I like to do personally. And when I'm doing this, I'm thinking when we're talking, I ask them how they're doing and whatnot, or whatever I see that's I look for an open door to be able to share, the opportunity or moreover, how can I help you with your health? That's the way I lead it. Maybe it's because I'm physician based, but that's the way I think it's more natural for me. And just being there for somebody. But as soon as I find that gap, I'll mention LifeWave in a positive light, that with excitement that grabs them. And then quickly I move it over to them. I want to focus on them. I want to focus on getting to know them and their why and things of that nature. And it could be health related, it could be finance related. Usually it's health related because I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse, but I'll be walking and I'll be looking at people's gaits and I'll be seeing what's wrong with them. So that's an open door for me to go talk to them, say, hey, what's wrong with your knee? What's wrong with your ankle? How'd you know? Well, I'm a doctor, blah, blah, blah. And that's what my talk is. But to be able to shift that to them and focus on them, and people have talked about it, and then afterwards writing down what it was. They have this, their child has that, or what have you. So you have that in your notes that when you get back to them, you could ask them about it and show that you care. But we were going to dinner for Casey's birthday one night at the steakhouse, and as we were walking in, I saw a guy he had a wheelchair, and he sat down at the table before us, and I walked by him, and because I didn't want to be goofy, and then all of a sudden the fear tries to come on you. I'm like, no, I have the solution for this guy. I could help him out. And so I turned right around and I walked up to him and I said, you know what? Hi, I introduced myself. I said, I don't want to seem goofy, but I am a sports physician. I see that you have something going on, and I believe that I have a solution for you. And if you want to learn more about it, I'll be sitting right over there. Just come on over there, tap me on the shoulder, and I'll come tell you all about it because I really do think I could help you with your situation. Right before dessert comes, I get a tap on the shoulder. Y'all were there. And the wife came over and said, hey, do you mind coming over and sharing with us about that? Well, just today, we got a text message this morning saying, we didn't blow y'all off. We're so interested in getting what you have, what you spoke about. Surgery is in a couple days, and please, let's get this started. And so we made it about them, and we just love them. And then there was a couple in the pool that this is very important. When you're at a place, especially like a resort place, you don't want to Danny asked, I wanted to pull Danny over and say, hey, Danny, I want you to share your story real quick. And he's like, but he saw me over with a bunch of people in an area, and it looked like I was hanging out with people that were, taking advantage of the all-inclusive. But this guy wasn't. He was right next to him, and you don't want to go up and talk to somebody that is under the influence or not clear-headed, because that's not going to be a good conversation. You want somebody that's of sound mind to be able to talk to. And so I brought him over there to find out he and his wife are doctors of PT, and they just texted me 2 days ago and said, listen, we're going to be gone for a week, but when we get back, we want to get plugged in and get going. And it's just that you got to love people and don't assume anything and just share the truth. And that's what I got to say.
It's awesome, Tori. Tori, you're a pro at it, man. We've
Very
seen you in
much so.
action.
Very
So you're a
much
great
so.
connector and a great example for the law of connection, brother. All right, we're gonna wrap it up with Diana today because we're already 9 minutes past our normal deadline. Diana?
Yeah.
Yeah, real quick. Sorry, I was distracted being connected to people on my text while you pulled out that card. And I'm always looking for practical ways that I can keep track of things because, we all get busy and I lose track. And when I make notes on my phone, I just get lost in the weeds sometimes. So can you show me that card again so it looked like a really simple tool that would be
Well, this
helpful.
is just old-fashioned index card box.
Yeah. Yeah.
This Diane and I are like, here's
But it
my,
would have dates in it.
Yeah,
You wouldn't
like
have,
when we did-
you wouldn't have A through
yeah, this is
whatever.
A through Z because this is our directors and above. But at Office Depot, they got 1 through 31, which is the days of the month. So if you're following up with
Right.
people, you have 1 through 31 in there because when you talk to someone today, you're going to put that card out on your follow-up date. Like if you're going to follow up with them in 3 days, you'll put that card in this 20 slot. If you're going to follow up with them 7 days from now, you put it in the 24 slot. So you're always moving the cards into the day slot in which you're going to follow up. So on that day you wake up on the 20th, you may have 4 cards that day, and there are 4 people you need to follow up with that you would not have remembered otherwise. That's just old school follow-up because we don't use
old school.
spreadsheets. Like spreadsheets are like really
trying
hard.
that.
Yeah.
So
Some
no
people
school
do.
like the old school. So that will work for me. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that.
Yeah, I mean, we're day planners. Like I have my day planner right here, and I talk on my phone and I text on my phone, and and I have my social media stuff on there. But man, like organizational stuff, my calendar, I don't use my phone for calendar, and so it's just my preference, and people have their preference. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
So I hope it helps.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, law of connection. You got it today. Y'all are going to do amazing throughout the week and throughout the year. Your growth is going to be off the charts because we're all growing as leaders and we're all going to get there. And our prayer for you is that God helps you get to exactly where he wants you to be. And so we just pray for God's blessing on your life, for God's plan for your life, and for you to fulfill the plans that God has for you and you reach your destiny. So God bless you guys, and we'll be seeing you on this one next week.